So, I'm at this crossroads, right? Thinking about how I want to live and where I want to live. And I've always felt disconnected. And if I leave NYC, which I want to do and I don't want to do, I think, is it NYC or outside the US, or is it a place, or is it just me? 'Cause no matter where I go, I take me with me. I've always been self-conscious, made to feel that way by family and in the streets where I grew up. Black and into rock and roll. Black, no white people knew what to do with that. Black people called me the white girl. And white people looked at me when I would go to Max's Kansas City or CBGB's to see the Ramones or the Talking Heads. Thought I was looking for a disco. Even back then, the rift between disco versus rockers was big. Disco sucks. Buttons were all over the place. And this difference extended itself into race. Niggers can't rock and roll, said one kid to me while wearing a Chuck Berry t-shirt and wiping his bloody nose after I hit him. Also, I never felt like a girly girl, shopping with other girls and giggling over boys, yet I wanted to be attractive, and I liked boys. I didn't want to be alone. And I didn't want to be with them either. And very few people understood that what I wanted, needed, were books, film, theater. And how I wanted to make those words become riffs on a page and stage. Wanted a word to sound, feel, look like Link, Ray's solo and rumble, or the feel of Arthur Lee's 7 and 7, with a touch of Robert Quine, Tom Verlaine, and David Byrne. Brando combined with Rimbaud, Romare Bearden, Eugene O'Neill, Egon Schiele, and always there was me questioning, who can I tell this to? Who would understand? Even as a kid, not being able to define this as I just did, of course, there was always this feeling of not fitting beyond place and family, and always questions, knowing there was more. How to do this? Where to do this? Why can't I be black and do this? How to be black and female and do this? Or is it just me? Or is it a place? A friend of mine from Britain, now a fellow East Villager, said, "It's 21st century, baby, and the color thing is still alive. Say what you want. Even though Britain and other places colonized, you still get treated better in Europe than here." And in ref to those human questions and the questions of place, I think, what would have happened if James Baldwin had not gone to Paris? Or if Jimi Hendrix hadn't gone to England? And what about Josephine Baker? They obviously had questions, and it dawns on me that it is self and place. Even now when I think about this, it dawns on me that very few people understand what I meant. Me pretended to, pretend to. Some were, are intrigued, and those that were, are intrigued, that were, are in the business, thought, find my struggle life-wise and financially romantic. They loved, or so they say, that my work is unsafe, as they live very comfortably. So, yeah, I think, has there ever really been a time or place in or outside New York City or anywhere else where I felt great in my skin, where people really understood what I meant? And there was indeed a place, Bellagio. It was there for the very first time that I felt comfortable in my skin and beautiful in my skin. And it was there that I saw all kinds of people, and I could see all kinds of things so clearly. And a Black American friend of mine asked, well, hey man, did you see any Black folks? I did. And we acknowledged each other, and we took each other in, and we smiled, because they knew and I knew that we were the same and different, and there was no need to dwell on it. In Italy, I was beautiful, treated like a beauty. The stupidity came from women, not much older than me, from America and the British Isles. On the boat from Milan to Bellagio, they wanted to touch my braids and looked at me like they had never seen a Black person before. They all wore polyester and had that high frosted hair, and I looked at them and I thought, you grew listening to Bowie and T-Rex and you now look like this? Man, what the fuck? We get to the writer's retreat. It's a villa, and I have my own room and studio looking over the sea. The sea, blue, green, I can't describe. Part of me wants to throw my computer in the water because I would never be able to find the words to describe the beauty of this place. The food was wonderful. Fresh baked bread every day, fresh fruit, pasta to die for, and never mind the wine. Breakfast and lunch were not mandatory, but showing up for dinner was a must, and you had to dress. I loved it. I did not feel it a formality, but a gorgeous ritual, and I met great people. I met other writers, two of them, Nirmala from Bombay, whose family had moved to Jackson Heights, Queens, Little India, and Josh White from the Upper West Side, came from New York. And Josh lived 2 blocks from me in the East Village. They became my friends. And like me, they were writing about their places in the world. And we would be in our studios and hammering out on our computers, real and imagined scenes, and then we would read our work to each other. And it was there in Bellagio that I came to see the beauty of where I come from. I could look at the hard bop of Latin black boys from Harlem, South Bronx, and realized that beyond and under that hard bop, they were sad and scared. I came to realize that the greatest egg cream in the world came from Jim Spa's on Astor Place. And Josh and I realized that we were both in CBGB's on the same night that Talking Heads played. And in between sets, this drunk lost his girl, and he went to the jukebox, and he played Under My Thumb 5 times, while Legs McNeil, the co-founder of Punk magazine, called out loudly, "Asshole!" sitting at a nearby table wearing pointy-toed boots and shades. We walked and talked about NYC. And Nirmala was talking about missing the Jackson Diner in Queens, and Josh and I were talking about CBGB's. And Bellagio, America, especially New York, became beautiful. There was a waiter taking a cigarette break, and he was singing Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads, and Josh and I joined in. We walked back to the villa. Once inside, this coldly elegant woman, American, older, looked at me and asked me to get her a pen. I told her that I didn't have a pen, and she said, "Well, go get one." I breathed deeply and told her I was not the hired help, but a writing fellow. Her look went from defiance to shame. And Nirmala loudly yelled, "Beach!" Josh looked at me, and then at Nirmala. And in that moment, he became white, and Nirmala and I, non-white. The 3 of us hugged. We're cool. It was there in Bellagio that I found new skin, new friends, and the beauty of myself. New York City, America. And I also found the ugly America that could rear its head, because no matter the purple dress or the Chanel 19 perfume, to some, many, I would always be a well-dressed, well-read, perfumed nigger. In other words, same as it ever was, same as it ever was, same as it ever was, same as it ever was.
Who are you, America? That's the question CenterStage asked when we commissioned these 50 monologues. Want to learn more? Keep watching.